loko. Esiku dede asiko yi. Hello everyone, it's Adirunke again. I hope your day is going well, or I hope your day went well, whatever applies. Today, I'd like to talk about another incantation. I started a series on Yoruba Incantations, and then I stopped and I went to other aspects of the language and culture, but I'm back. So I thought I would do one more. And the incantation that I'm going to be talking about today is Igba dena osusu. If you like, you can say Igba dena osusu, and I'll mention that as you watch. You can also say Igba dena osusu. I'll start by explaining the words that are in that statement one by one, and then I will go into the explanation next. To begin with, the Orwa. The Orwa. What is it? When you say Orwa, not to be confused with Orwa, which I'll probably talk about in one of the coming videos, sort of give you the semi-homographs that have the same base letters as Orwa. Orwa is palm frond petiole. That is what Orwa is. The palm frond petiole. And what do you call the petiole? The petiole is the stalk that attaches the leaf blade to the stem and is able to twist the leaf to face the sun. Again, it's the stalk that attaches the leaf blade to the stem and is able to twist the leaf to face the sun. Now, the significance of the sun and the petiole, especially when it comes to even Orwa and the spiritual uses, significance that it has, I will get to. But that's what a petiole is. When you take a palm frond and that stem and you remove it and you let it sit, most of the time those leaves will dry like naturally, since they are not attached to the branch or the root anymore, and you get that brown color. So it is when it becomes, what they would do is they would detach it, they would detach the petiole and they would assemble them depending on their sizes. So for the ones that are, I suppose considerably long or decently long, they put them together, and there's this leather thing that is used to bind them, leather bind literally, and it can be used as a broom or a sweeper, so a cobweb remover or even a fly swatter. But Igbale is in Igbale is something that is used to da is to like to sweep. It can even be, if you say gba or gba, it's like to put together, so when you're sweeping, our language is very practical. You are assembling the dirt, so to speak. Gba igba, or it could even be to sweep as well. I suppose that would be what the meaning is here, because the word gba is also, you could say it's a homonym. Ile is the floor, or even the ground or the earth. It would all depend on the context that you're using ile in. But here it's the floor. So something that is used to sweep the floor, literally. Igbale, the broom, the sweeper, and whatever synonym that you think applies. And for the smaller ones, and sometimes even if there are no actual small ones, they will cut the petiole into like a smaller size, so that it would be used as the ijabe. The I in ijabe suggests that, it's something that is used to, just like Igbale, something that is used to. Ja is to, it can be to detach something, maybe even with like a force. It can be used in that context with some kind of force. Ja. It could also be to, especially in this context, it could also be to like disintegrate something. Ja, it's what I'm thinking here. to disintegrate, to the purpose is there's this leaf, and I'll get there when I start to talk about our vegetables and our plants, the ones that are edible and the ones that are not, later on in the future. The ewedu, after you make it, you use the jabe to disintegrate it, to make it somewhat soup-like, as opposed to just boiled leaves. With the jabe, it is when you pound it that the ewedu becomes like a soup that you can then take with your okele. So depending on the kind of okele that it is, it could be the inyo, eba, amala. You could even try fufu, that is made from ege, from cassava. Obe, because it's ija obe. Those three, you could say 3 words combined to form ijabe. Obe is soup. Could even be stew. So something that is used to disintegrate the soup, the vegetables, so that you can get the soup, or that is used to disintegrate the soup, literally. Soup or vegetable pounder is what ijabe is. So the petiole can become any of these two when you're talking about the domestic environment, because when you bring it to spirituality, then it has other names. The palm front petiole, the Orwa, basically, the Orwa is a very powerful piece of nature. Very, very powerful. In general, the Orwa has a neutralizing effect. So in general, in spirituality, specific to spirituality now, it has a neutralizing effect. Other specific names exist aside Orwa, known to the respective Awo who have more esoteric knowledge about this piece of nature from the palm tree. Again, what is a petiole? Stalk that attaches the leaf blade to the stem and is able to twist the leaf to face the sun. It's a very powerful and important part of any plant at all. And the palm tree is no exception. Now, the sun. The sun is extremely powerful and extremely significant to our spirituality. Almost everybody will say Orun now to describe the sun. They would refer to the sun as Orun. So, which is an old word as well. However, Oye seems to have come first. If you're familiar with the Ifa spirituality to a degree, you would have heard Oyela or Oyela, at least one. Oye is the sun. It's the old Yoruba name for the sun. What does the sun do? The sun makes everything, it sort of disperses the dark. Not to insinuate that the dark is bad, but you know that when it's dark, you can't see as well. Not to insinuate that there's something wrong with the dark, or you don't need the dark. You need the dark, but there's a limitation to how well you can see without the assistance of fire in some form or the other when it's dark. So the sun is significant in that way. So for the owls that are here, that was why I added Eriwo ya isoro pe. If there are any experienced owls that can even tell us more, we would all be willing to learn. So that's that. I really don't want to go into that because there are different names. This owl might have a name that they call, in general, we just call it Orwa, Orwa. But if you're using it for something specific, you can't say Igbale for Ijabe, because Igbale means you're using it to sweep. You can't be putting that in your food and all that. But even in spirituality, there are interesting names that different owls have for the Orwa, the palm front petiole. Orwa and Igbale are the two names that would apply to the petiole in this case, because if you add Ijabe here, you can't be using And since it involves flies, if you're using that for your soup or stew, for your ewedu, most commonly, you can't be using that to kill a fly. So I intentionally decided to exclude the ijabe here. But if you say igbale as opposed to owo in the incantation that I'm about to sort of explain, it's still correct. You can't use the broom that you use to sweep to kill flies. You just won't use the one that you cook with. And then the Eṣinṣin is the housefly. Those are the important metaphors for the incantation that I'm about to explain word for word. Igba Eṣinṣin ò le, and if you like, you can say Igba Eṣinṣin ò kín dènà de osusu ọwọ̀. I would explain the difference between them, so don't worry. Igba Eṣinṣin ò le dènà de osusu ọwọ̀, or Igba Eṣinṣin ò kín dènà de osusu ọwọ̀. You might hear it said in any of those two ways. I'm not saying that there can't be a third or fourth way of saying it, but these are the two most common ways, because I typically say Igba Eṣinṣin ò le dènà de osusu ọwọ̀, but I've heard people say, some people would even exclude the osusu and say Igba Eṣinṣin ò le dènà dọ̀wọ̀. Some would say Igba Eṣinṣin ò kín dènà. Whenever you hear it, it's all right. Our language is not strict. Just know that both work. The language is not strict in how you can use words and how you can make certain words metaphors for the other, and how you can say one thing but you're saying 3-4 things at the same time. That's what I mean by our language is not strict. Igba is 200. Eṣinṣin is housefly. O is not. Whenever you see O as a standalone word like that in your statement, it's not. Le is like can. Again, because I'm trying to translate one language to the other, I typically just, for many words, the translations are exact, but for some others, it's like, this is the best word, that you can use as the translation for this word. Doesn't mean that it's the exact same, but this is the best that we can do. So le is, let's say it's can. It's like, yeah, let's go with can. King is does not. King is does not. Whenever you see as a standalone word, it suggests that the structure of that statement is, of that context is in present tense or continuous tense, something that is happening or something that typically happens. Does not. King. Dènà is to ambush, to stay or lie in wait. Dènà. De in this case is, it can be de agolo. It can be to close. In other contexts, it can be to obstruct. Deke de agolo. Deke is cover that Tupperware. What is it called? Those plastics. It doesn't have to be that kind of plastic, but Ike is like plastic bowl. And then agolo is a tin. De, in this case, however, it's more obstruct, but not necessarily close in a bid to attack or harm. Again, this word has homonyms attached to it because, like I said, it could be to close. It could be used in the close context, close something. It could be a plastic. It could be a tin, de. Or de when it's within the statement. It could also be to bind. That's another again. So I'm going to have to add this word to my list of homonyms too. It could be to bind. De mole. What's it de? What day it's like you bind something. For those who are familiar with other esoteric systems, aside Ifa, like the tarot or whatever, although you don't have to be familiar with it, I'm thinking of the traditional. Well, I'm picturing the traditional Eight of Swords, the traditional binding. So it could be that. It could also be to ambush. It could be to obstruct, but not necessarily close somebody's way. Like if you're ambushing somebody, you are obstructing their free passage, so to say, in a bid to attack or harm. And ono is, it could be way, it could be passage. As a metaphor, it could mean something else, but when you say omonili olono, it could be in a metaphor, it could be something else, but in and of itself, it's way or passage. De is in wait for. So de, the word de suggests that you are lying in wait for. You may not necessarily be lying on the ground or lying, but you're staying in wait for something. That's what it suggests. It is when you fit it in the context that it would now mean, you're obstructing, or you're doing it in a bid to attack or harm. When dena, though, when you say dena, because de and ono are the two words that combine to form dena. In dena, de and ono are the two words that combine to form dena. When you say dena as one word, it completely suggests that there's a kind of ambush or a line in wait in a bid to attack going on. When you combine both like that, yes, that absolutely is ambush. De in wait for. If you say duro de mi, or mo duro de oremi, I stayed in wait for my friend. So it's like, the word de anyway suggests that there's a kind of waiting going on. And then osusu can be cluster. It can be a bunch. When you put palm frond petioles together, you get a bunch. A bunch of palm frond petioles becomes the traditional Nigerian broom, owo. And then owo is palm frond petiole. Owo is palm frond petiole. And what that means is 200 flies cannot or do not, depending on. So if you say ole, that would be cannot. Igba Eṣinṣin ole, cannot. Ole, not can, is what it would be when you translate it word for word. But when you transliterate it word for word, but when you translate, it becomes cannot. And you say kin, you cannot say 200 flies does not, right? So you say 200 flies do not. 200 flies do not ambush a bunch of palm frond petioles. Igba Eṣinṣin okin dena de osusu owo. Igba Eṣinṣin ole dena de osusu owo. 200 houseflies cannot ambush the owo, the palm frond petioles. And why? I think it's very important to know that this is the most powerful fly swatter that I've ever seen in my life. Extremely powerful. I didn't always have this particular owo. I think I got it this year or last year. All the other fly swatters were pretty useless. I think this one so far has stood the test of time. So it's really, because the typical igbale or owo bundle is made up of, like, I can't even count how many. If I start to count each stalk, I can't even. This is at least 300, at least 300 to 400. It's a really, really powerful tool, both in the physical, I suppose I can't say physical, in the domestic setting, just the regular day-to-day household setting, and the spiritual settings. So both settings, this is a very, very powerful item. When you take even the word Igba Eṣinṣin, now why it's important that I break it down. Why is it 200? Why does it have to be 200? Why? Because they could have said, our ancestors could have said 100 flies cannot ambush this. This powerful, it would be pretty stupid. By saying they cannot, it would be rather stupid for them to. Why 200? The number 200 is extremely significant to us. I've discovered, like, there are a lot of sayings and metaphors and statements just counting by 200, even essentially. When you say Igba irunmole, that's 200 irunmoles. When you say okanleriwo irunmole, okanleriwo, you're saying 400 plus 1, not 401, but 400 plus 1. my friend was giving me an explanation on that recently. Just counting by 200s in both the regular day-to-day and the spiritual, the owls who know what I'm talking about. 200 is a significant, like, number. When you say something is up to 200, you're saying, you know, it can even be like a metaphor for the maximum. It's like it means it's a metaphor for the most number, the most quantity or something. When you say, okay, I'll give you another example of where 200 apply. When you say bí a bá ju ọ̀bẹ sókè nígbàgbà, you can say it different ways, but the essential meaning is, if you throw a knife up 200 times, the knife will always fall on its side. It won't fall. If you throw it up, it won't fall with the mouth pointed down. The mouth will not, it won't stand vertically. It will always fall horizontally, is what that statement is. So I can, if I start to think now as to where 200 Igba features in our sayings and metaphors, I can go on and on, but I don't want to get distracted. So what the incantation is saying here, and I will probably in my next video or the one after my next, I'm going to teach you a prayer that will go perfectly with it. I don't even know how I should do it. Maybe because I can't. Well, I will figure out a way, but I'll make sure that I make a video on a prayer that goes with this incantation perfectly. 200 flies cannot ambush the owl. I've explained 200 house flies. Just Eṣinṣin in general, housefly. The housefly pretty much it has a spiritual, even more esoteric meaning. Just the fact that Eṣinṣin, because they could have said 200 mosquitoes, they could have said 200 cockroaches, they could have said 200 anything, but they chose housefly for a reason. And maybe there's an owl that will be able to go into even greater depth, but there's no house that the housefly doesn't come into. Like even in North America, there are flies in the home if you're not careful. Actually, you don't even have to be. In the summer, there will always be like at least 5 flies in your home when you round them all up, bothering you. I don't know how they get in, but they always find a way in. So there's a spiritual thing about that as well, sort of like what's a spiritual example and spiritual explanation and an in-depth, like, other things that have to do with with flies. But the reason why house flies were chosen was house flies themselves are not weak. Not weak in terms of their frame, but weak in the sense that if they want to get somewhere, if they want to get into the home, you know, they will always find the way in. I feel like it may not be as easy for rats, or it's definitely not as easy for rats, or as easy for what other domestic thing can I think about? But houseflies always find their way in. flies, they are I don't know how they do it. Even if you close all the doors, you know, and to kill them, you sort of have to be you sort of have to be really like calculative, because they can really frustrate. I'm having like memories of the summer that just passed. You have to be really calculative in order to to get the fly, because now I don't know how I feel about like killing living beings that one cannot create. This is the empathetic side of myself talking. This is the empath side of myself talking. But when they frustrate you to a point, people can relate. I'm pretty sure you can relate. So it's the reason why houseflies were and there are I'm pretty sure there are people that are watching me right now that can give us even more in depth. But the reason why houseflies were chosen as the metaphor is because if they want to get somewhere, they will always, especially if they want to come into like your home or your whatever, they can't really be hindered. They will always find a way in. So it's to show that even if they are that powerful that they can, I mean, if they are not powerful, they wouldn't even be in your way. They wouldn't even be able to get near you. So the fact that they can even come that close and attempt to ambush you, obstruct you, shows that they're powerful. So 200 flies cannot ambush the Orwa. The Orwa is so powerful. Once it smashes the the end of the fly, that's the end of the 200 flies. That's the end. Even if the Orwa doesn't go whoosh on them all, even if it doesn't kill them all at the all 200 at the same time, with one or two push, one or two hits on the, let's say there are 200 flies waiting on top of your meal or waiting on the counter of your kitchen and going, yes, we are 200. I wonder how she's going to kill us now. She's outnumbered or is outnumbered. With this hour, if you go bash, you know, they're gone. So I'm just trying to explain like each aspect of those selection of words as much as I can. It would 200 flies cannot, even 200, which is like even the maximum, cannot withstand the power of the Orwa. So in the spiritual sense, if you use that as an incantation, and in what case would you even use that as an incantation? You want to go somewhere, you want to do something, you know, or maybe you've seen a trend that when you want to do something, when you want to achieve something, let's say you want to get a job or you want to do something, there will always be something that will frustrate the life out of you. You know, it's either you don't get it or something just happens. Maybe somebody just mistakenly throws their lunch on your shirt and you're all stay. You just notice a trend of like, it's like even before I get here, the answer is a no. That could be one. It could also be you want to you want to fight a spiritual battle. I don't know if there's a better way that I can phrase that, but you notice that each time, you know, an attempt is made to make that to perform those rites, they don't always get answered, and you feel like there are some forces that are always waiting for you at that spot in order to destroy whatever you're about to do. You just feel like some person or some force, doesn't have to be even a person, some person or some force is always frustrating your attempts to pass through. And it may not, it won't be like a literal road, to pass through an important stage of your life or an important stage of something. When you say that incantation and you say corresponding prayers, you're saying, you know, I have the Ashe within me, and so what's going on? You're not really asking them. At that point, you're saying it authoritatively, like, you dare not be in my way. You know better. You know better than to stand in my way. You know. Mo ṣe bá wọn tó ọ̀tọ̀rọ̀ yẹ kí n ti kọ́kọ́ júbà. Mo ṣe bá wọn tó fún wa ní ọ̀fọ̀ yìí o. Mo ṣe bá gbá o. Tó máa kọ́ má dàbí pé kò léfùrù kọ́kọ́ bí o júbà. So what I basically said there was, I honor, you know, the people who, the ones before and the ones living, who have given us, because a lot of the ones before have now come back. You know, I'm pretty sure that I'm one of those. Even okay, let me even mention another thing. Let's say you maybe the night, let's say it's an interview, because I've given the example of an interview. Let's say the night before, you notice you were extremely worried that there might be a trend again, you know. There might be a trend again. If you take this, your Orwa, if you say your prayer, you say there are other different incantations that you can say. You can say I'll probably explain that. There are a lot of similar incantations, you know. I can say that one soon. That's the incantation that I just mentioned. You say a prayer, you know, you use your own ashe, you wure, you proclaim, and even like bring forth, which I will explain again, the concept of Iwure, blessings from the earth. You pray for yourself, you use your own ashe, you invite your ancestors to defend you, you invite your Igba and all the many forces that are available to help in the spirit realm. You know, you invite them. You say Igba ṣíṣe òkín dènà dọ̀wọ̀ bí mo ṣe fẹ́ lọ sí ibi tí mo ti fẹ́ wáṣẹ́ lọ́la yìí. Kí nǹkan kan má dènà dè mí o. Kí rí bá ti ṣe kí n rọ́nà gbégbà. Kí gbogbo àdáwọ́lé mi kó yọrí sí rere. What other? There are a lot of iwures. There are a lot of ways to construct like a positive wish for yourself. You maybe you don't really know. Maybe there are some forces that typically would attack you the night before. It doesn't even have to be forces. It could just be like negative energies, which would be forces. You take the broom, you stand the broom and put it beside your bed and say, as I think for the most part, you know, I've mentioned that verbs and herbs are important. I mentioned it in the offer video. Verbs and herbs are important components of any prayer, and herbs may not necessarily be, because this is not a literal herb, but like a piece of nature is basically what I was trying to make verb and herb rhyme. That's why I did verbs and herbs. But you said your proclamations, which are probably more important. You don't have to have Orwa, for example, for your prayer to be answered. You stand it beside your bed, letting them know that you know, I think ashe, you have ashe. You don't have to. Yeah, you have to honor, because it's very much a culture of you know, paying respect, paying homage, ijuba. You know, it's very important. But the important aspect of the culture is that you have ashe within you. You have the power. You don't have to beg. You don't have to, my Lord and my Savior and my master, and I'm a slave. You're not a slave. You know, you have the ashe within you to say, you know, I don't have to go to anybody and have to like be miserable. If I have to, first of all, I tend to use the ashe within me. It's a whole lot, because now I'm going to be drifting far away from the point of the video, which is the incantation. But just know that these palm front, it could be the coconut palm, it could be the oil palm, you know, but palm front petioles are really, really important. And I said that they're powerful. They allow the, what was the definition of petiole that I found earlier? They make the leaf face the sun, or something like that. Even the sun, you know, I was saying earlier that oyela, you know, the sun brightens, the sun clears, you know, the sun neutralizes darkness, so to say. In the spiritual realm, in this, not necessarily the spiritual, but in the spiritual circles, for spiritual purposes, this item is a neutralizer. You can't really, I've not heard from any elder or from my soul's memory basically, that you can attack with it. I don't really see it as a tool of attack as much as I see it as a tool of defense. You know, you defend yourself with it, you neutralize evil with it. What people don't know is our ancestors would wake up, you know, maybe do it or teach their children to do it. Would wake up, our ancestors' children were also our ancestors, so our ancestors would wake up and start sweeping with this. And I guess because of, you know, Christianity and just a lot of like basic knowledge lost, a lot of people find this Igbale in their home, but they don't really like palm front petioles. They have a connection to the sun, and they have a connection to the palm tree. And the palm tree, even the tree that this is from, you know, is a very significant tree. I was saying that even in Yoruba spirituality, we have Gila, we have we have other trees, but when it comes to like basic level Ifa, you know, I want to speculate that the palm tree is the most important tree. It's where you get the Ikin from, the mariwo from, the epo from, the palm oil. It's where you get the, what else do you they're just every single part, including the root, every single, including the branches, including the, just everything every single part of the palm tree, whether you say the oil palm or the coconut palm, even the coconut palm tree as well, every part of the palm tree is useful in the practical life and in spirituality. So it's, you can say that somehow, I don't know what the Yoruba culture would have been without the palm tree. Of course, the Ikin will not be in the picture. Several things will not be in the picture, you know. So the palm tree, even the palm tree itself, so even the palm tree itself makes it significant. Now our ancestors would wake up and sweep with this. Until now we still do it, but they were cleaning their physical areas with it. They were cleaning their household with it. The front, they sweep the yard, the front yard, the backyard, the rooms, the whatever. They will do all that, and somehow some people don't know why it has to be this one. It's from the palm tree, and not only does it clean the physical dirt, not only the from whatever, because you know a lot of spiritual activity also happens. You sweep the residue away. This is powerful enough to clean both physically and spiritually, to neutralize, to sort of even remove, to neutralize and remove. So what else do I feel like I strongly feel like I need to mention in this video regarding this incantation? Igba Eṣinṣin ò kí ń dènà dọ́wọ́, Igba Eṣinṣin ò lè dènà dọ́wọ́. I think that's pretty much it for now. I feel like if I'm to stay within my boundaries, this is good for now. If you have any questions, any burning questions, or just any general questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer. And I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.
Ewúrẹ́ ọ̀ràn gúdí jẹ lẹ́sẹ̀ gbàgede, àgùntàn ọ̀ràn gúdí jẹ lẹ́sẹ̀ yàrá, lẹ́sẹ̀ yàrá ló kọ́ bá jíjẹ, àkùkọ gàgà tó lórí ọ̀pọ̀ ìdíje.